This is MIP Breaking News.
Ladies and gentlemen, much anticipated guest, one that is getting worldwide attention these days because of her best-selling book, Hacks, the inside story of the break-ins and breakdowns that put Donald Trump in the White House, by Donna Brazile. My dear, dear friend of many, many years, Donna Brazile, joins us now. Donna, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you doing? It's great to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you. You sound good and strong this morning. Your voice sounds pleasant and everything. So good to hear your voice too, Donna.
Hey, I'm from the old school. You get up, you say your prayers, and then
right.
You keep on walking.
That's right. And you've been all over media, and I know you've been ripping and running, but you still sound rested. I know your time is precious, and I want to just get to a couple of things right away, Donna. You've been kind of besieged with these questions about rigging.
Yes.
So the Politico excerpt says in the beginning you needed to see if it was rigged, and then later it says that what you found broke your heart, and I think that has left some ambiguity on the part of some to think that what broke your heart was rigging. I want to read something here and then ask you to expound. On page 159, you write, overall, well, let me start this way. Speaking of Bernie, Bernie came into the race as an outsider who had criticized the Democratic Party. Nonetheless, the party embraced him. It worked with him to make sure he was on the ballot. He had legitimate reasons to complain about the actions of a handful of people at the DNC. And I had been totally forthcoming to him about that. But overall, the game was not rigged against him. Don, is it fair to interpret that what you're saying is that financially, in terms of financial control and executive control of the party, it was rigged, but in terms of the electoral primary process, it was not rigged? Is that an accurate inference from your book?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, because, there's a lot of confusion, and some of the confusion is generated by those who primarily disagree with the fact that I wrote a book. So let's start with there. And they're looking for any inconsistencies to draw up a narrative that my conclusions about the 2016 campaign should not be trusted. But put that aside, because that is what I call the worst form of politics. People who had an opportunity, like me, to be an eyewitness to history, but did not come forward to explain to those who are our stakeholders, our voters, our donors, what the hell happened. I wanted to explain from my point of view as the person who stepped up to become chair. Remember, I was not the chair of the party when the DNC was hacked, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the former chair, when she decided to step down, I stepped up. So I think we need to start with the premise that this was a decision I made to help my party and clearly help the nominee of the party. But I felt a moral obligation because I've known Bernie since the Jesse Jackson 1984 campaign. People forget. I go back as far as the Clintons as I did with Bernie Sanders. I know I'm talking to you, but you know my history. I've been involved for a long, long time. So, no, the primary was not rigged. What I said in the book was that in exchange for bailing out the party, which was broke, the Clinton campaign would get control over certain decisions and aspects of the DNC that made it difficult, maybe impossible, to do my job. It was unethical, but not rigged.
Okay.
And that's the difference. Now, Mark, you and I come out of the District of Columbia. Who sets the date? Who sets the parameters? That's the D.C. government. New York is the same. The DNC works with state parties as well as we work with other officials. And guess what? We also work with Republicans on setting primary dates. And then we set the rules. Now, the rules govern how we conduct our nomination process. I did a forensic examination, and what I learned two things. I went department by department, which is all in the book, and I went to party affairs because party affairs work with party leaders. And I said, what was your process? who did you talk to? And so in the book, I described that in every instance, they talked to Bernie, Hillary, Martin O'Malley, James Webb, and Lincoln Chafee to get them on the ballot to figure out if they were qualified. Now, I hope that people read the book to understand the purpose of writing a book like this. It is to learn the lessons and to learn from last year. Rank and file Democrats need to know what happened, what the party has been doing in their name with their votes and with their money, and that's why I wrote this book.
Donna Brazile with us, folks. Thank you for that, Donna. And obviously, folks, you'll notice throughout the book the level of camaraderie that exists between Bernie and Donna. And as she acknowledged, there is that history going back to 1984, and those of you who know that history ought to be well aware of that. On the other hand, you felt that the Clinton campaign disrespected the party and disrespected you when you asked the campaign to reach out and thank the DNC. I believe you wrote Jennifer Palmieri slammed the door on that, and you said that if that B ever does that again, if I have that accurately, there was also occasions when you were trying to get money to bring in Howard Dean's executive assistant, Tom McMahon, to do a 50-state strategy, which the Clinton campaign, you write, also resisted. You were in a room full of men, and as a woman, you said, and I'm going to read the actual quote. I'm on page 59, folks, if you want to follow me. This Donna Brazile quote, this does not feel like a negotiation to me, I said. This feels like power and control. Gentlemen, let's just put our dicks out on the table and see who's got the bigger one, because I know mine is bigger than all of yours. You actually said that to a room full of Hillary Clinton campaign folks. Was Robbie Mook in that room?
They were all part of that conversation. And let me just say this. I go back a long, long time. People believe that when you're inside the room and you get a seat at the table, you're supposed to just shut up and be quiet.
Right.
Well, first of all, I got my seat at the table because Fannie Lou Hamer dared to make a difference back in 1964. She said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So my seat came as a result of Fannie Lou Hamer's struggle. I worked for Shirley Chisholm, and her famous line was unbought and unbossed. And then, of course, I worked for Jesse Jackson, who believed that hope springs internal, but it comes from action. And so I come into the room. People know what to expect. You don't expect me to sit there and be like a potted plant. You know that I'm going to come in there with my activism. I'm going to come in there with my street smarts, and I'm going to come in there and say, okay, let's look around the room. If I'm the only woman in the room, the first thing I say is get the hell up. Let's go get more women. If I'm the only black in the room, I say, oh, get the hell up. Let's go get some Latinos. Let's go get some openly gay and lesbian people. Let's go get some Asian Pacific Islanders. I've always been about inclusion, about empowerment, about making sure that we bring as many voices to the table. And so what I found was they stifled me, and I'm saying, me? I'm an old school person. Just bring in some more people. And I wanted Tom McMahon because I wanted to go beyond, the 24 states or the 27 states. I'm like, let's empower every state. We're raising $1 billion. Mark, $1 billion. When I was Al Gore's campaign manager, we were struggling to just get to $100 million. Okay, $1 billion. I have never raised $1 billion.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, good. Now I can get posters and yard signs and activists. I can hire people. I can do radio spots. All of the stuff, Mark, that we do in politics. And every time I said, let's do this, they're like, no, Madam Chair. And when it really hit the fan? It hit the fan, and I got it in a book, when Donald Trump went out and said, what the hell you have to lose? And here I am,
speaking of African Americans. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Here I am, a black woman. And I'm like, oh, no. When somebody come at you, I'm sorry, I'm telling your listeners too much about myself. TMI this morning. When somebody comes at you, you come right back.
Yeah.
What the hell I have to lose? I have to lose a hell of a lot. My health insurance, my voting rights, clean air, clean energy, everything that we've seen this president do over the last year in office, I said, oh, hell no. So the only thing I could do was do a column. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm the chair of the party. And that's when I went digging. something must be wrong. How come the chair of the party can't do nothing but, you know what? See, remember, Mark, this was not my first time as chair. This was my second time.
Yeah, yeah.
When Tim Kaine left to run for the Senate in Virginia, I became chair. And then President Obama, wanted Debbie to fulfill that responsibility. And you know what girlfriend did? Say, oh, hell yeah, I don't want to do this job. And so I knew what this job entailed. But then all of a sudden my hands were tied behind my back, and I'm like, untie my hands, because I put it in a book. I'm not Patsy the slave. You're not going to whip me. And so that's what I learned. And it made me, first of all, I was disappointed and upset, but it made me figure out something was wrong. And that's when I found that extra memorandum. And I said, this has to stop. But if I blew it up, I describe it as cancer. And I know a lot of my friends who have cancer say, don't call it cancer.
You're right.
Well, it was bad. And I said, I got to blow it up in order to help get the message out. I wanted Hillary Clinton to win. There was nobody working harder and longer and for free.
Donna, the memorandum, I think you've also referred to it alternatively in some interviews as an addendum. Is that document available for people to see? We've seen a joint fundraising agreement, but you're speaking of a separate document, an additional document,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
How can we see that document?
Well, the Clinton campaign last week, after they first denied it, put it out publicly, and NBC News, I believe, put it on their website. I saw Joy Reid of NBC News refer to it, but I have a copy of it, and I would, as soon as I can get to a scanner, I'll make sure that you have a copy to put on your website. Mark, the thing, look, here again, Donna Brazile, if you get all of these wounds and scraps I have on my back, I am a teacher. I'm a trainer. I'm an activist. I want people to learn from this. I want the DNC to learn from this.
Sure.
In the future, we should never have any side agreements that prohibits the party from running an independent process. What I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that I waited till after the campaign. And in November 28, I even sent another letter saying, okay, the election is over with. Let's use all of the leftover money to pay off the debts. Let's rebuild the party.
Right.
And I left the party financially healthy. I removed a lot of things that I thought clearly were wrong. I got a lot of flack internally, but you know what? Once I get moving, I communicated with all of the activists. I communicated with all of my fellow officers. I communicated with the DNC Executive Committee. I stopped leaving people out the room. I brought more people into the room.
Even though, as you write, the Clinton campaign was not reciprocating and treating you with respect in the room. You talk about speaking with Bernie, him supporting Hillary. There's a question you have on page 150. I'm sorry, 102. Why should Bernie work hard for Hillary if it seemed as though she would win this without question? Was that a question you were asking, or was that a question that Bernie was asking at the time?
Well, here's what I admire about Senator Bernie Sanders. When I explained to him what I had found, and I wanted him to know everything that I had, come to understand, Bernie said to me, Madam Chair, what do you think about the polls? And I said, Senator, I don't trust polls. I said, I have been into too many fights when people sit back and say, well, she's going to win. We don't have to do anything. And I told him, don't trust these polls. We have to get out there. And he said, okay. That's the thing that people didn't see. Bernie Sanders and I connected. I did rallies with him. We connected. He sent people over to the DNC to help. Jeff Weaver, his campaign manager, and myself, we talked nonstop. Ted Devine, Simone Sanders was helping me. Mark Lungaby, Rania Barrett, she came over to be like a full-time staffer. And so we had Bernie people inside the DNC, and we put together a schedule for Bernie. We put together events for Bernie. Elizabeth Warren came in to help me raise money. So Joe Biden was helping, President Obama, Michelle Obama. I mean, everybody, it was all hands on deck for Hillary. Let's be very clear. people were working their you-know-what off to help elect Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
That was the focus. Nobody wanted to see Donald Trump in the White House.
But Donna, the Bernie people were more respectful of you than the Hillary people. And you're not the chair anymore, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Would Bernie have run a more successful general election campaign, do you think? Would they have listened to you more?
Mark, I don't really spend a lot of time with the what ifs.
Okay.
I had to deal with the reality as I saw it. And as you well know, I had a lot of people in the Hillary campaign who respected me. My good friend Mignon Moore, my good friend Charlie Baker. I talk about them in the book as well because we go back to another Jack's campaign and of course, the Dukakis campaign. So we all have history together. It was look, I call it more generational than anything else. They had come of age during the Obama era, right. And this Obama era generation, which I respect and truly love, they are about algorithms. They're about data analytics.
Right.
And, that was a department that we never had. I mean, by the time computers came to campaigns, we used computers just to identify, each other, not to come up with these algorithms on how you move voters. I'm old school. I believe that you got to know Miss Sue or Mr. Joe. You need to know everybody in the precinct who knows how to get people out to vote. That's how I started. And so while I respect algorithms and I like to understand how they work, I'm old school. But I had a lot of support within the Clinton campaign from people who knew me, who respected me. And I went up to Brooklyn on many occasions to do rah-rah meetings. I call them rah-rah meetings, where I motivated the staff and the interns. Because, look, when you're in a campaign of the magnitude that we were facing with not just Donald Trump and the political establishment, beating us back every day, trying to destroy it. But remember, there were active measures to destroy Hillary Clinton's campaign, to destroy Hillary Clinton's image, active campaigns to destroy her character, and there were active campaigns to destroy the Democratic National Committee. The reason for writing hacks, if people can just get past Chapter 11, they will see that we battled those Russians. We battled them with the disinformation. We battled them with trying to destroy our server. And then, look, they were going beyond our emails. Mark, they were going to our data. They wanted to know Mark Thompson, and they were corrupting our data. And that information, as you can tell now, is coming to light. And so I hope that we get to the bottom of what happened in 2016, because it was just more than about her quote-unquote damn emails. It was about weaponizing information and sowing discord and trying to destroy one candidate. And that candidate that the Russians targeted, as well as the Trump campaign, was Secretary Hillary Clinton.
Your book, Hacks, Donna Brazile with us, folks, 8 minutes before the hour. Your book, Hacks, in fact, to me, is the most comprehensive account of the Russian hacking of the DNC. So much so, the malware that was found, it goes into great detail. I'm not going to go into the weeds, but you raise questions that heretofore have not been raised. I want to ask you if you're still seeking these answers or if these answers have been found, Donna. What did this malware do? You write on page 195. Are we campaigning in the wrong places, sending flyers to the wrong houses? Are we calling the wrong people on the phone? Are we sending Hillary to the wrong states? How do we know what this malware is doing? Someone asked. We know it got to the emails, but do we know that it actually did those things that are raising those questions in terms of really misdirecting the Democratic campaign?
First of all, this is the heart of why I was motivated to write a book. Now, think about it. The campaign is over, and then I'm sticking around for another 4 months. I mean, remember, everybody goes home. Everybody go do their crying or go do whatever they got to do. And I have to keep working. And I kept thinking back, because once the campaign was over with, I was really free to do what Donna typically do. I had to figure it out myself. And so I went to all of our data people. I went back to our hacker house. I went back to everybody, and I said, what the hell was they corrupting when they got into our server? I mean, we all heard about the emails. Oh, Donna sent debate questions. Oh, Donna did this. Oh, this person talked about that one. And see, when I saw that, I said, okay, there's something else going on, because everything was directed toward Hillary versus Bernie. But I'm like, what is going on in terms of Hillary versus Trump? And that's when my eyes got to be blown out. Because if you look at what they stole from the DNC, what they stole from the CCC, now remember, this is a theft, this is a crime, this is a cyber crime. What they stole was data. What they stole was personal information. What they stole was voter files and voter performances. And I said, God dog it. They were into changing systems, changing names. And so I can't wait. But first of all, the Department of Homeland Security, when we sat down with them on October 17th, that was another hair-raising moment for me. And they started telling us about the attempts to get into our voter registration system, our state voter registration systems. They started telling us about attempts to change our e-poll books. That's when Mark Thompson arrived at his precinct,
Right.
and you give your ID, and they say, where are you, boo? You say, wait a minute, I've been voting all my life. And all of a sudden your name is not there. And so when I started putting 2 and 2, and I said, uh-oh. So we need to know a lot more. And hopefully between the Mueller investigation and when Congress get down to it, we finally figured out all of these bots and trolls. You know when I knew there were something going on is that every night that Donald Trump mentioned my name, and mind you, he mentioned Hillary's name, he mentioned a lot of other names. But when he would mention my name out there, Donna Brazile, Donna Brazile.
Right.
Man, Mark, I started getting them damn crazy death threats, phone calls. Oh, my God. I said, well, what the hell are these people? Now, you know, I come from the old school, so when
Right.
people call you the N-word, you're like, okay, that's some stupid person calling you the N-word, as if, you know, that's
Right.
not. And then when they started calling me the C-word, I'm like, okay, well, now, okay. And then they called me the B-word. I said, okay, good. Okay, keep going. And then they would threaten me, and then
Yeah.
I'd get the B. And then when they would put the combinations together, I said, no, wait a minute, that's not no American shit. That's not how Americans put
Right.
stuff out there.
Right,
okay?
right.
You
That's
knew
something
there
else.
was some foreign crap
Yeah.
going on,
That-
and nobody would believe us. You see, the thing I also hope that this book will challenge is the lazy mainstream
Right.
media that forced us to read these emails every day that were stolen, not knowing that they were corrupting individuals' lives.
Individuals' lives,
And the
emails.
media should be held responsible for the dangerous precedent they set in allowing stolen, hacked emails to become part of the story when the story was how the Russians were using active measures to sow discord. And they don't want to hear that. They much rather have me go out and explain, was it rigged? Did she fall down? Did you have the power to I'm like, please, can you focus on your responsibility of allowing stolen hacked emails to get into our political system without somebody doing a gut check?
Yeah. Donna Brazile with us, folks. Donna, just folks, we're still on our social media as well. Just 2 more quick questions, Donna, and I'll let you, because I know you got to catch a flight. Do you regret or have any misgivings about the state that Barack Obama left the party in? We'll stipulate that there was a lot more focus on OFA than on the DNC, and that's one of the reasons it was broke, wasn't it? Are you at peace with that, or is that something that you still find quite problematic?
First of all, and I said in my book, one of the other reasons why I stepped up is because I love my president. I love President Obama. After his 2012 campaign, the party was riddled in debt. He had taken out loans in 2014 to help the party, the Democratic Congressional and the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. We didn't have enough money to give candidates in battleground states. And when I took this job, I knew that there was some residual debt left over from 2014. But what I did not know was how much it was. Look, President Obama did so many great things. And he was the first to go out there and raise money. He campaigned all the time for the Democrats. But it was a different way of the party needed resources to go into these so-called non-battleground states and these expansion states. And I felt the debt just really inhibited us from doing the kind of strategic investment to prepare for 2016. Secretary Clinton herself earlier this year in May, I believe, criticized the DNC for being so heavily indebted. And again, one of the things I did when I became chair of the campaign was I started cutting people's contracts. Some of the people who are out there
Yeah, you did.
cutting me, I cut them first.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's be clear. And look, I know everybody got to get paid, but look, we were in debt, and I'm like, can you cut me some slack? Can you go down to 10 grand a month? Can you go down to 15? Some people stayed on the payroll to December, and I had nothing to do with it because you know what? They had cut their deal separately with Robbie, and I honored every deal. I never cut nothing, to the bones, because I honored what the Clinton campaign had agreed to do, which was to pull us out of debt, and they did.
Yeah. Donna Brazile with us, folks. Let me do this, Donna, in the interest of time, because I know you have to get away. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you can just, because they're left somewhat unanswered in the book, and you can just reply yes, no, or I don't know. Were the Russians involved, in your opinion? I know this hadn't been resolved yet, in Seth Rich's death. Yes, no, or I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not part of the investigative team, but I can tell you this much, and thank you for asking about Seth. He was my child. I loved him. He worked in the Voting Rights Division. I was the vice chair over that division. He was one of two staff people. I love him. I miss him. He was a patriot, and I hope to God we find out who murdered Seth Rich.
You wrote in the book you feel responsible for his death.
Because he was my child.
Okay, I understand.
Don't make me cry.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that.
My child.
Let me just say, y'all.
On July 10th.
Yeah.
He was my child. Mark, I have been in politics all my adult life. The only children I have are the children that I've hired. They're my children.
Yes, ma'am. I don't mean to make you cry again. Your other child was Chip.
Oh, he was my boo-boo.
Your dog.
Chip. Oh, my God, I miss Chip so bad.
Was Chip poisoned?
Well,
we don't know.
That was such a strange thing, and I have to think that something nefarious happened to my dog. I was warned, and I didn't bring my dog home, and when I brought Pootie Wipes home, let's just say when the vet said that he have access to poison, and I said, Chip wouldn't eat a stick off the floor unless you put it on a plate. So he's somewhere special. I told my sister Sheila when he passed to take him. She's already up there, and I said, Sheila, take Chip.
Folks, you can get a little context for that on page 163. There was a package on the porch, and it'll give you a little context of what we're talking about. Do you believe Hillary Clinton was ill when she said basket of deplorables? Was that something that was brought on by her illness? I think you think that statement was an unfortunate one, but do you think that was something that was brought on by her illness? You felt she was very ill even before she fell. You saw her. You offered her tea.
I have great respect for her. You know my relationship with Eleanor Holmes Norton. You know my relationship in the past with Dorothy Heighton, Shirley Chisholm, and so many others. My relationship with her, my friendship goes back a long time. And I just felt that my friend wasn't feeling good. And when she fell and when I saw those videos, like everybody else, you worry about somebody you love. You don't take that as, she slipped down. I took it as something was amiss, and I wanted her to get acupuncture. I wanted her to have tea. I wanted her to rest because none of us are spring chickens anymore. And she was working nonstop, Mark. She really put her heart and soul into representing and helping this country.
Yeah. Very, very last question, Donna. Was, in your opinion, was CNN fair to you?
I love CNN. I miss them. I watch them. And let's just say that we'll let that be a part of my life that I will always respect, and I've moved on.
Okay. Donna, I didn't mean to make you emotional. I'm sorry. You
hit two things that
I'm sorry.
That I love them.
I know. Folks, and I hope you all hear in Donna's emotion and in her sincerity that she's been through a lot. She has a right to tell her story. Some of y'all need to just back up off of her and hear the story. This is a very sincere and human story. This story is not meant to hurt anybody or get back at anybody or make anyone suffer. Other folk tell their story. White folks tell their story. Donna ought to be able to tell hers. So She put her heart and soul into the party, into politics in America for the past generation. I've known her all of my life. She's known me hers, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. Donna, we love you. I'm always here, and I got your back. Okay.
Hey, I got your back too. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Be safe now. Take care.
I will.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye bye.